So how would you feel about it? And so it's a thought experiment that he gives. He really feels that this is, really cuts to the bone of modern Western culture, right? So all the things that we buy into in our modern world, history, science, faith, democracy, uh, he thinks that this really puts everything, on the line, that it really forces you to think about, where you stand, right? And it really gets to the idea of history or the problem of history, and and it gets to the idea of, notions of truth and interpretation. So you want to take your pulse here, and you want to say, how do I respond to this? And whatever your response is, whatever that first impulse is, then what you want to do is you want to explore that and, like, why do you feel that way, right? So if you're depressed, why do you feel that way? If you're overjoyed, why do you feel that way? Okay, so that's a nice one to work with. So this is available to you both for Zarathustra and for the exam. Okay, so it's just added to the text here. All right, let's take a look at the text itself. Okay, let me go back to the text here. So the second part, just spend a few minutes just sort of going over some stuff here, pointing it out. So I've already annotated. You can take a look at it. Um, so the idea of teaching here. So in book two, he recommits himself to his teaching, right, his education. So he's not only, teaching against things, but he also has a teaching style, right? He's saying, like, he has a critique of education and learning, or how people learn, and so he's trying to present like a different version of things, right? So notice that he's trying to um, enlighten people, but he's not creating any schools. He's not writing any books. The typical things, or not founding political parties. He's not doing the typical things that people do to install their education principles or their notions of education into other people, right? So he wants to teach, but he's not being a teacher. He's being a certain kind of teacher. Okay, and that's what all of book two is about, right? More on teaching here. Here's where he starts to, talk about God again, right? Issues on God, um, and then, moving on here, on pitying and on suffering.